Hello everyone. This video provides a brief introduction to the modeling of urban freight flows. In about 5 minutes I will explain the following. First, I will go into the reasons why we use mathematical models for city logistics. Although I will not discuss mathematics, I will give you a conceptual overview of the main approaches towards modeling and the most common techniques used. For further reading, I can refer you to our book Modeling Freight Transport. Here we discuss only the basics. So let's go. Part of the challenge of creating an efficient city logistics system relates to our ability to analyze and predict freight movements in a systematic and credible way. Mathematical models and software allow us to make calculations, visualize movements and make predictions. Numbers are needed to back up policies with hard evidence. Visualization is useful so that the image of an entire city can be presented to planners and decision makers. Predictions may be difficult to make, but it helps if one can anticipate on the most probable impacts of new technologies or policies. Ultimately, with all these functions taken together, models can help to design better city logistics schemes. So let's have a look at what we are trying to model in the city. In essence, with models we are trying to replay the freight flows inside a city by modeling all the decisions that people in the logistics chain are making. These include decisions from consumers, like what to buy from which store, or from the carriers concerning the time of departure of the truck and the route that the driver needs to take. These decisions will change through time as cities grow and new facilities become available. It is these changes that policymakers are typically interested in to understand possible impacts of their policies. The challenge and art of modeling lies in how to describe this complicated world in a simplified way so that it still looks realistic. We give a brief overview of methods on the next slide. Currently, the state of practice applied in many cities is the commodity-based modeling approach, where freight movements are described by type of commodity, for example, fast-moving consumer goods or building materials. The volume of freight flows per unit of time is measured in tons, in metric tons, and derived from indicators about the economic activity of shops or city zones. Production and consumption are cross-tabulated using a method for spatial distribution, such as the gravity model. Flows are then divided towards different modes of transport and types of vehicles. And finally, they are assigned to the transport network. This is the commodity-based approach. Sometimes the circumstances are easier and we can skip the steps of modeling commodities and modes of transport. In this case, we will use what they call a trip-based approach to calculate truck trips directly instead of calculating tons of freight first and transforming this into vehicles later. Of course, the degree to which we can model this will be limited by the amount of data available about all these processes. Most of the times, it's simply not possible to model every firm individually. And in that case, we resort to what we call aggregate models that describe the flows of all firms together. There are few city models that describe individual shipments, as this requires an enormous amount of data. Once we have modeled all the flows, we can elevate our models to become decision support systems for city logistics. These present a user-friendly interface to policymakers so that they can experiment themselves with the virtual city. They can try all kinds of policy measures, calculate the effects quickly and have the results presented in graphics that are easy to understand for the wider public. The picture here shows the urban strategy system of TNO in the Netherlands that was used recently to calculate the impacts of city logistics measures for the city of New Delhi. The world of city logistics modeling is progressing quickly. Researchers worldwide are working at different fronts to improve these models. The latest conferences on city logistics where researchers gathered showed that developments are going in at least 3 directions. 1 is a better modeling of all the detailed logistics processes. 2 is a focus on simulations to picture all the dynamics of daily movements. And the 3rd direction is a better understanding of the choices that individual stakeholders are making through agent-based models. So let me summarize my talk for you now. I've given a brief introduction to the topic of modeling, including the typical topics of modeling and the approaches used, including the main innovations in these approaches. For further reading, please check the MOOC website and our textbook Modeling Freight Transport.